Hello, and welcome back to the Military Matrix. Today's unfolding situation has sent shockwaves across Eurasia, rattling energy markets, military analysts, and political observers alike. Russia has just suffered one of the most unexpected and strategically devastating blows to its regional influence in years. Moscow is now scrambling, panicking behind closed doors, after a sudden and highly sophisticated attack completely shut down its $15 billion Caspian export link, one of the nation's most critical arteries for oil transportation and energy projection. This is not a minor disruption. This is not a temporary technical failure. This is a complete and immediate collapse of a core lifeline that feeds billions into Russia's economy, supports its geopolitical leverage, and supplies vital transit through the Caspian region. For Moscow, this pipeline isn't just steel and valves, it's a financial jugular, and tonight, that jugular has been severed. In the early hours of the morning, the Russian-administered Caspian export corridor, long considered safe, stable, and heavily guarded, was struck with a level of precision that immediately raised suspicion of a highly capable and technologically advanced actor. The attack wasn't messy, it wasn't loud, it wasn't chaotic, it was surgical, it was silent, and it was devastating. Analysts believe the strike targeted power relays, deep water support structures, and remote telemetry centers that regulate the flow of crude through the pipeline. Just minutes after the explosion, the entire system went offline. Emergency protocols were triggered, but even Russian engineers quietly admitted the line wasn't coming back anytime soon. Inside Moscow, alarm bells are ringing. Russia's Ministry of Energy held an urgent closed-door meeting, followed by an emergency briefing at the Kremlin, as Vladimir Putin reportedly demanded immediate answers and a rapid assessment of economic fallout. Remember, this export link has been responsible for moving massive volumes of oil from Kazakhstan and southern Russian fields, contributing to billions in revenue and reinforcing Moscow's influence in the energy trade. Now, with a single strike, that leverage is evaporating. Russian state media initially attempted to downplay the event, calling it an unexpected technical malfunction. But satellite imagery, eyewitness accounts, and rapid naval mobilizations in the Caspian tell a very different story. Russian patrol vessels were deployed within minutes. Drones flew overhead. Divers searched the damaged sections, and communications intercepts leaked online, revealing panic among regional command posts. One officer reportedly described the situation as worse than anyone in Moscow understands. The Caspian region has long been a complicated chessboard of alliances, rivalries, and disputed waters. Russia has spent decades tightening its grip, building pipelines, ports, and military installations to ensure dominance. But today's attack shows that even Moscow's strongest assets are far more vulnerable than previously believed. Analysts note that shutting down this particular export link doesn't just hinder revenue, it undermines Russia's global credibility as a stable energy supplier during a period when the Kremlin desperately needs cash for its military operations and domestic pressures. International reaction has been sharp. Oil prices spiked immediately, markets slid into uncertainty, and diplomats issued veiled warnings about escalation. Several nations quietly pointed fingers at regional intelligence agencies with the capability to execute such a precise strike. Others are calling for an international investigation, fearing the incident could spiral into a broader conflict involving Caspian powers. Russia, unsurprisingly, is blaming hostile sabotage, though the Kremlin refuses to identify a suspect, at least not publicly. Behind the scenes, pressure is mounting. Moscow is attempting to reroute some exports through backup lines, but these options are limited, smaller, and already strained. That's why this single disruption is so catastrophic. It isn't just about losing oil flow, it's about losing influence, losing bargaining power, and losing billions in leverage overnight. And Russian officials know it. Experts believe this attack could trigger a series of retaliatory actions as the Kremlin attempts to reassert control. Increased naval patrols, air surveillance, and joint exercises with Caspian allies may be incoming. Some even predict Moscow may consider covert strikes of its own, depending on who it ultimately blames. For Russia, this moment is a sobering wake-up call. A reminder that even its most strategic assets, ones buried underwater, fortified by military zones, and supported by billions in infrastructure, are not untouchable. The Caspian link was supposed to be unbreakable. Instead, it has been wiped out in a single night. As Moscow scrambles to contain the fallout, global markets brace for turbulence. Allies prepare for diplomatic friction. And military analysts warn that this could be the beginning of a much larger and far more dangerous regional power struggle. And so tonight, we watch the situation carefully. Russia's Caspian export line is down. Moscow is rattled, and the world is waiting to see what happens next. Stay tuned as we continue tracking every development. This story is far from over.